I'm going to shift gears now to the AFC East, and I'm going to start off with the team in the East that to me brings the absolute least, and that is, of course, the New York Football Jets. Yeah, they are not good. They sure as hell weren't good in 2012, and that was just one of those seasons where there were all these media distractions, all these locker room distractions, and very poor performance in general on the field, in particular on the offensive side of the football. Tannenbaum's out as a general manager. Idzik was brought in, and it still seems like for some reason this organization wants to repeat its same damn mistakes that it's made before. Focusing on defense in a draft where offense is clearly by far your biggest need. For all the talk on offense about Mark Sanchez and how bad he's been and how he's failed to live up to being the 5th overall pick out of the 2009 draft, he's failed to live up to that status, and he has. The problem with that is that this organization has done very, very little to surround him with key pieces and weapons to help him succeed. It's one thing to go draft a quarterback in the first round. You have to then follow that up and reinforce that selection with high picks on receivers and running backs and offensive linemen to help your young quarterback out, to put him in the best possible situation to succeed. And this Jets organization, with Rex Ryan, a defensive-minded head coach, has consistently failed to do so and did so again in 2013 in the draft. Offensively, it looks like the Jets have decided rightly to hand the reins over to second-round pick Geno Smith. The bottom line is this, is the Jets, to me, in my opinion, are going to be very bad this year. As a result, if you're going to be very bad, then why not go with what you don't know as opposed to what you already know? You already know what you're going to get in Sanchez anyways. You spend a second-round pick on Geno Smith. Why not go there with Geno Smith? He can potentially bring a little bit more to the offense in terms of a little bit of a stronger arm and an ability to do a little bit more with his legs. You need to go with Geno Smith. You got to find out what you have in him because you know what you have in Sanchez and you know you haven't done very well. The problem even for Geno Smith, a young quarterback stepping into the mix right away, is that the Jets, again, just don't have a lot going on the offensive side of the football. Who knows when Santonio Holmes is going to decide he actually wants to play this year. He's not that hurt. He's just playing it off. He's like, I'll come back at some point. I've got guaranteed money. This team is lousy. I don't want to risk further injury. We'll see what they get out of a Stephen Hill and a Curley. In the running game, Sean Green is gone. They bring in Chris Ivory via trade. Is that really going to be your two-headed running back monster, Chris Ivory and Bilal Powell? Ooh. The bottom line is this Jets team, it looks like, just like last year, is going to have incredible difficulty scoring a bunch of points. Now, on the defensive side of the football, the team is a little bit better here. They're not elite and they're not dominant like they were maybe a few years ago, but this is still a pretty good defensive unit, although they did lose their stud corner Darrelle Revis via trade. Now, you could say he was out most of 2012 anyways, and the defense still held its own a little bit, and that is true. But ultimately, this was a defense that was built around Darrelle Revis, and now that piece that you had built that unit around is gone. So there's going to be some transition. There's going to be some adjustment there. Mike DeVito is also gone. Now, of course, the Jets, because their offense is so bad, they spent both of their first-round picks on defense because that's what good organizations do, right? You bring in Sheldon Richardson. You bring in Dee Milner. It is an young infusion of youth into a defense that probably, frankly, does need it. As much as I talk about the offense being bad, the defense still had some holes for the Jets as well. And ultimately, you do have a defensive-minded head coach at the helm. It's a defense-first organization right now. And as a result, they're going to infuse that unit with more talent. And that's what they do. Now, for me, when I look at the Jets, this season should all be about losing as many games as possible, so that way, come 2013, you could be in position to draft somebody like Jadeveon Clowney or Teddy Bridgewater or Marquise Lee or whatever the case might be. Imagine a front four in New York of Muhammad Wilkerson, who's a stud, Coples, who's a nice player, Richardson, who's a nice talent, and Jadeveon Clowney. That's a nightmare for opposing offenses. Imagine an offensive line trying to block that unit 5-on-4. Ridiculous. There's that type of potential there. Bottom line is Rex Ryan's seat is nuclear hot. He should have been fired this past offseason because he's been a problem in and of himself of creating distractions and creating divisiveness in the locker room and all these other things. When they fired the general manager, the head coach should have been gone too. I'm surprised they're going to bring Rex Ryan back for an entire season. I would not be surprised to see Rex Ryan be the first head coach fired in 2013. Jets' overall record this year, I'm looking at it, they may win 6 games, more likely 5, maybe even 4. If you're a Jets fan and you think they're going to do better, then God bless you for your undying faith in the gang green, if you will. But the bottom line is this is an organization that for many years hasn't gotten it. Just when it looked like they were starting to get it, they decided they weren't going to get it again. I mean, the 1968 season was 45 years ago. When are the Jets going to get back to being a relevant team again? It's an interesting question. And I sure as hell don't think it's going to be this year, even though ESPN and the national media is going to love talking about this Jets team and all the distractions and all the bullshit. They will still suck, period.